I mean, it was better than the Islanders game, so let's break down how they crawled over that very low bar on today's Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day every single day. Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. I also have to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Let's talk about the Flames game, which happened a couple of days ago. At this point, I had some technical issues yesterday, but I feel like it's still a game that bears talking about because of how just completely frustrating it was, right? Again, not similar to the Islanders game because the Blue Jackets played awful the entire Islanders game. I thought they played well in this game, except for a total of 90 seconds. Like, they had an awful opening minute, 2 goals in, the first 2 minutes of the game, and then that, second period meltdown of, back-to-back 2-on-1s, that ended up in the back of the net. Beyond those moments, for the most part, I thought this was a much better game than the Islanders. Unfortunately, they couldn't figure out a way to solve a goaltender with an 886 save percentage. Ended up getting one shot in 45, one goal on 43 shots. Just straight up not good enough, right? I have a lot to say about this game. I was going to say some good, some bad, but mostly it's bad. That being said, no. The game itself, here's the thing: if the Blue Jackets don't have that complete meltdown for the opening minute of the game, this game looks a lot better, right? It's still a 3-1 loss, including an empty netter, and as we all know, empty netters don't count on this show. But that opening minute was brutal. First goal, I don't think Jet Greaves even saw, just a nasty deflection. Second goal, he got bumped and didn't get a chance to really reset. I don't think it was goaltender interference, but just kind of bad timing, right? The second period goals, we're going to get into kind of in a little bit more detail about what the hell the defense was doing in this game, because they've been doing it a lot in the past couple of games, and it makes me nervous. But the defense have all decided that they're rovers now, I think, and this is not a one specific defense pairing thing. And I have kind of I talked about this on Twitter, right? Is that I have kind of singled out Provorov and Severson as doing this a lot. Werenski does it all the time. That's fine. Werenski's got the foot speed to get back, and we know it's going to happen anyway, right? And typically, his defense partner, whether that's Matejchuk or last season Fabro, knows enough that okay, Werenski's going to go. I'll stay back, right? Provorov and Severson both seem to want to go full send all the time and have decided that they're forwards now. I can't tell you how many times I looked up in this game and was oh, that's sure. Why is David Severson behind the opposing goalie? Why is Ivan Provorov standing in the crease 4 inches away from Dustin Wolf? Happened with the third pairing as well, the Mayo Christensen pairing. They got burned. The Werenski pairing got burned as well, despite the fact that, again, we should really know that this is happening with Werenski. And it felt like that, to me, was the real downfall of the game, right? Was just stupid mistakes like that, and bad reads and pinching when they shouldn't have to. And overall, defensively, the team was sound, I think, in terms of the chances that they allowed were typically low-ish danger, right? If you look at hockey stat cards, they basically said that everyone on the team's defense was was above average, right? But it just feels like anytime they made a small mistake, it just burnt them immediately, right? Do I think that Jet Greaves could have had a better night? Sure. I would have liked him to have saved that second goal. Was it the Blake Coleman goal, or am I making that up? I had the tab open and then I lost it. So if that's on your Blue Jacket, your Locked On Blue Jackets bingo card, yeah, Blake Coleman, I was right. Like that goal, I would have liked probably to have. I would have liked him to have back, and probably the fourth goal as well. Was it the Adam Klapka goal? Yeah, I would have liked him to have both of those. 4 goals on 25-ish shots is not a great night for Jet Greaves. I imagine I'm assuming that he'll bounce back, and I do think that he will, because again, every time he has a bad game, he typically follows that with a pretty good game, right? Won't get to see it until next week because of the weirdness of the Blue Jackets schedule. So, like, yeah, I would have liked Jet Greaves to be a little bit better in this game, but it felt like just every single time the defense got burnt, they got burnt, right? Like again, that the 3-1 goal that for me was kind of like, oh, okay, that's the dagger, right? Like 2-1 feels extremely doable. When it gets up to 3-1 and the other goalie's making, is up to 20 something out of 20 something plus one saves, it starts to feel a little bit insurmountable, right? Obviously they made it worse with the 4-1 goal. The 3-1 goal was both defensemen got caught pinching. The only guy back was Miles Wood, who I have liked Miles Wood's game, for basically since he got back from injury. Actually, I've liked his game a lot. The man is not a defenseman. He shouldn't have to be a defenseman. He did his best. What I have liked some kind of shot block or stick, poke check or whatever, sure, but I'm not going to sit here and say he was bad on defense because you're not paying him to defend, right? Like one of the two defensemen on the ice should have been doing their jobs instead of like surging forward. And then it happened again later on. Just a bad pinch, and suddenly you've got a 2-on-1 developing, and just infuriating, right? Especially you're down in the game. I understand that you're trying to push to equalize. You're trying to push to get another goal, but like you can't make mistakes like that, especially defensemen that are supposed to be old enough to know better. And I've noticed this start to develop a lot over the past like maybe 3 or 4 games, and I've noticed it specifically with Severson, to a lesser extent Provorov. Severson specifically has been very much like I'm going to just jump up in the play. I'm going to lead the rush. I'm going to do all of this stuff, and it makes me feel kind of vaguely insane. Because it doesn't feel like this is a tactic that works if your defense partner is savvy enough to stay back, or if you are fast enough to get back, right? And here's the problem with the Provorov Severson defense pairing is that neither of them really seem to have the sense to stay back when the other one is pinching, or stepping up into the play, or whatever you want to say. And if they screw up, neither of them really have the foot speed to get back in time, and so that's what makes me nervous, and it's been making me nervous for like 3 games now, and lo and behold, it burns the team exactly at the wrong time, right? Just a truly, truly frustrating game. Like, because here's the thing, and again, like the first 2 goals happened like a minute apart. The first 2 goals happened 36 seconds apart, if I'm doing my math correctly. So by 1:32 of the first period, they were down 2-0. And then within, again, like I can't do the math on this one, but at 7:47 of the second period, they score. 8:24 of the second period, they score. So like a minute and a half total, like a minute and 10 seconds total is when the Flames scored all 4 of their goalie goals, right? The Blue Jackets managed to avoid getting scored. They pulled the goalie with like 5 minutes left, which I do respect as a tactic. Because what happens? You lose 5-1 instead of 4-1, like that. It doesn't matter. And it took them 4 minutes to score an empty net goal, which I do think is extremely funny. But just straight up not good enough, right? If you're going to make mistakes like that, you have to compound that in other areas, right? Great to see Kromachenko get a goal, his first goal in like 7 or 8 games, I think, on the penalty kill as well, which he doesn't play a lot on the penalty kill. I like the concept of Marchenko on the penalty kill. Would like to see it in kind of more situations, I think. But just a weird game that I think was compounded by how bad the Islanders game was, right? Like if this is a game that happens in a vacuum, you're like, man, that a minute and a half they got unlucky, right? And they got goalies, but there's a lot of things that are starting to like add up in the way that the team is playing right now, and also kind of in the way that the team is being coached right now. So we'll talk about those things in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I'll tell you about Rougier. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them all before. It's stress, I'm tired, it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rougier comes in. Rougier.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. It makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. There's no awkward waiting rooms. There's no in-person appointments. And if it's prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly directly to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonnhl to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnhl. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rougier, stop making excuses and start making moves. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. I want us to talk a little bit more about the decisions that are being made, and it goes back to some coaching decisions. I think, the goals that happened in this game were a result of bad choices by players, right? But I think the lack of goals being scored is a result of bad choices by coaching. By which I mean, I don't understand the line changes. I didn't understand the timing of the line changes. But by line changes, I mean the line combinations. It made no sense to me. It really, really made no sense to me. And I know that I've talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to get like super into it in any kind of like massive amount of detail, but I just want us to kind of go over it again because insane, truly insane. I do think that the lines were better in the Flames game than they were in the Islanders game. But again, that's partially because I think it probably would have been hard to be worse. If I'm being brutally honest, and the thing is, like, it wasn't just the new lines that were bad in the Islanders game. Like everyone was bad. So there was some bounce back in this game in terms of like on ice actual effect. Like the third line, I thought was good. The top line went back and forth. The like all of the lines were good at defense. Is the thing. They didn't create a lot of offense, any of the lines, which is maybe kind of a bigger problem because this team is kind of built for offense, in my opinion. But like the worst line defensively was the top line, which created only less than a third of an expected goal against. Basically, the Flames didn't create much of anything. They just got really, really lucky. So like that's a positive from this game, I guess. I talked about how it was all kind of bad and there was nothing good about this game. I think the Flames got extremely lucky and the Blue Jackets got extremely unlucky, right? Like they created an above average number. Like they created 2.38 expected goals for. So they should have scored at least 2 goals. They scored 1. The Flames should have scored about a goal and a half, and obviously they got 4 on a goalie plus an empty netter. So like again, they got really, really lucky with that. The Blue Jackets got extremely unlucky, but the lines bounced back well. Again, the lines that I still really like are the ones that haven't changed. The fourth line, it is so like transparently obvious that Kent Johnson is driving that line in ways that I can't even like put into words really. Like he's the engine on that line in a way that like makes me feel kind of insane, right? Like he is too good for the fourth line, and I think Everson knows that. And yet they're sitting here and they're like, well, we're just going to keep him there because he's not scoring on the second line. They don't want to break up the third or the first lines for whatever reason. Um, and I still think, and I've talked about this a little bit, but like I still maintain that like Johnson Fantilli would not be a terrible line, right? Like I still don't think that Miles Wood is a long-term out option to what's happening in the top six. But if you give that line like some speed instead of just kind of whatever Jenner is doing, then I think that there's something there, right? But putting Jenner and Wood there is just kind of, well, what's Fantilli supposed to do with this, right? And again, he drove his lines, I should say. In terms of like individual expected goals for, Miles Wood actually led the way with almost half a goal created all by himself. Charlie Coyle was second. Adam Fantilli was third among all Blue Jackets in terms of like individual creation of offense. So that's not like what was created when he was on the ice. That is like individual creation in terms of like scoring chances and shots on goal and like creating rebounds, things like that, right? Um, Kent Johnson was tied for fifth on the team. Cole Sillinger ahead of him, and then he tied with Provorov. But like he created more individual offense than Zach Werenski did in this game, which is kind of insane. Created more individual offense than Marchenko, Monahan, and Voronkov put together. So like it is so transparently obvious to me that Kent Johnson is doing all of the right things regardless of like what line he's on. I'm just trying to see if I could pull up what his specific individual what his actual offense creation is by himself like all season, because my guess is he's probably near the top of the Blue Jackets again in terms of just creation, like individual creation of offense. And yeah, he is like he's in the top half of the team despite playing basically very very few minutes. I mean, not very few minutes, but like he's played almost 30 minutes less than Adam Fantilli, who is, ostensibly his line mate, right? Marchenko is leading the way in terms of individual offense creation. Fantilli is second. So again, people are worried about Fantilli. He's fine. He's not fine, but he's doing all the right things and has been extremely unlucky. It's not that he's not creating. It's not that he's not doing anything. It's just not going in. Like he has 52 individual shot attempts over 13 games. 32 individual scoring chances. 11 of those have been high danger. Shot attempts. Like he's doing the work. He's doing the heavy lifting. The pucks are gonna start going in eventually. Which brings me to what I wanted to talk about for the last segment of this, which is I wanted to see Voronkov, Fantilli, Marchenko, but I don't know that I wanted to see it like this. So we're going to talk about Monahan's injury and what this means for Adam Fantilli if, in fact, Monahan is not able to go tomorrow night against the Vancouver Canucks. We'll do that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, I want to tell you about FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Just find the heaviest favorite you can, right? Go to FanDuel.com, find the heaviest possible favorite, put $5 on it, and if it wins, you're going to get $300 that you can use on whatever you want. Sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to Locked on Blue Jackets. Let's talk about the Monahan injury, which is obviously bad, right? And when I saw him on the bench, like getting tended to, I was like, this seems not ideal. There are some kind of positive indicators. They haven't put him on IR. They're putting Eric Branson on IR. Because they needed the roster spot to call up Luca Del Bobaluz. Obviously, they had a roster of 23. They had to put someone on IR, so they put Gabranson on, who has been ruled out for this entire road trip, I believe, at least. And they already had Dyson Mayo on the roster for call up, so they've called up Luca Del Bobaluz. He is already in Vancouver, is my guess. So if he plays tomorrow night, then that's good for him. Like I'm always excited to see Luca Del Bobaluz get NHL time, right? It's not great news for Monahan. But the fact that they called him up, not great. But the fact that they didn't put Monahan on IR makes me wonder if it's just like a temporary thing. That being said, last time he was supposed to be out for 2 to 4 weeks and then was out for closer to 8 because I think he had a setback and had to have surgery. So I don't know what this specific injury is. It sounds like it's from when he took a hit into the glass and then got tangled up and fell over. It sounds like it's kind of from there. So my guess is maybe shoulder or elbow or like ribs or something that got jammed against the boards, or I don't know, something kind of miscellaneously upper body between like neck and waste is my guess. But if he can't go, then I guess this is Fantilli's time to shine, right? Like I put in my little box over here. If Monahan's injured, can't play, Fantilli's going to take that step up to being 1C. He finished the game there. Locked on Blue Jackets, take a shot, etc. I closed the tab that I needed because of course I did. And he did okay. I believe, again, I don't have the game open right now, but I think that line was at 50%, give or take, in the third period, which frankly I'll take if you are they only played a minute 22 together at 5-on-5. So like they had 2 shot attempts for 2 against. So a really, really small sample size, right? But last season, this was when Fantilli really, really took off, right? He took that step up to the top line, connected with Voronkov and Marchenko, and that was that was what he needed, right? Like, and it's the thing to do. And I understand that they have a lot of faith in Sean Monahan and they have a lot of faith in that top line. But I look at Fantilli's slow start, and then I look at players of kind of his caliber and age around the league. So I look at Leo Carlson, who's, having a great start in Anaheim. He's playing 1C minutes. He's playing all situations. He's playing on that top line. He's playing with, high offense, high skilled line mates. Macklin Celebrini, right? Again, same thing. 1C in San Jose is playing with skilled line mates, maybe not as highly skilled as Carlson, but I think that Celebrini is better than Carlson, so he will do more with less, and he's leading the league in scoring right now, or he was earlier today. I don't know if he was overtaken by games that happened last night, but it's the same thing, right? Like they play him in all situations. They play him like a 1C. Connor Bedard as well. Play him like a 1C in Chicago. He hasn't really had the line mates necessarily, but he's getting the minutes and it shows, right? Fantilli is getting babysat in Columbus, right? And I don't know whether it's that Dean doesn't trust him. I don't know whether it's that he thinks he's not ready. I don't know what it is, but he's not playing as many minutes as the other guys. He's not playing on power play 1. He's not getting penalty kill minutes either, which I'm not like super heartbroken about specifically, and he's not getting the line mates, like his line mates for the past 2 games have been Boone Jenner and Miles Wood, and no disrespect to either of those 2 guys, but like you should be like, honestly, like the ideal for Fantilli is put him with Johnson and Marchenko. That should be your top line. That line, I think, will be like, again, Johnson is going to have to earn his way back into the coach's good graces for whatever stupid reason Dean Everson has made up in his head. And I know that people like having Voronkov on that top line. Don't get mad at me, Stanley. But the top line should be Fantilli with the two best wingers on the team, right? And the two best wingers on the team are Johnson and Marchenko. So that, I think, is why Fantilli has been struggling. And when I say struggling, I mean struggling as in like hasn't really put the puck in the net yet, because he's doing a lot himself. And if you give him like even the smallest amount of help, I think he's going to really pop off. But that's why he hasn't performed as well as so far this season anyway. Because obviously he had the 30-goal season last year and, really kind of took off when he was played like a 1C. This won't last, obviously. Monahan's not out long term, knock on wood, yet. And as soon as Monahan's back, Fantilli will go back to being the second line center, and we'll have this conversation all over again. But if Monahan can't go tomorrow night against the Canucks, which by the time we record tomorrow's episode previewing this game, we should know more about Monahan, whether he's going to be in or not. My guess is that top line against Vancouver does something special. And I think Fantilli is going to be the engine of that. Like, it really, I don't know. I know that they don't want to like ruin his development and rush him, but you got to let the kid go at some point, right? This is his third NHL season. He should be, by the end of this season, he should be the 1C. Like, it's a contract year for him. I'm sure he's frustrated about how things are going, but he had a slow start to last season as well, and look how that turned out, right? So I'm not really going to sit here and say that, the season is over for Fantilli and it's been a disappointment, but like, this might be the kick in the butt that he needs to really elevate his game in a way that he hasn't managed to yet. So we'll see. That's kind of all I've got for today. Tomorrow we'll be back. We'll preview tomorrow night's game against the Vancouver Canucks, which I'm sure will be normal and not stupid at all. I'm thinking of the last time that these teams faced off in I don't remember if it was in Vancouver or in Nationwide, but it was that 7-6 overtime game where just like everything happened. So if we could not do that, that would be great. But I am emotionally preparing myself for things to be real stupid tomorrow night in Vancouver. So we'll preview that tomorrow's episode. Thank you for listening to this episode, for making it your first listen of the day every single day. We are free and available on all podcast platforms. We're over on YouTube, and you can find me on Blue Sky at JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter and LO-Blue Jackets on Blue Sky. We're also over on TikTok doing things over there. If you are a TikTok person, then feel free to go and hit the follow button over there. Once again, tomorrow we'll preview the Canucks game, but until then, make sure you stay locked on.